This movie is about a husband and wife who have been married for years, and their relationship has gone beyond what is usual for a married couple. Victor Van Allen has been working almost all the time, and his wife, Melinda Van Allen, needs more attention from her husband. Thus, the couple finds an alternative. Mel sleeps with other men, and Vic ignores his wife's affairs. What's wrong if this alternative solution suits both of them? But at some point, all of the woman's lovers start disappearing one by one. Vic and Melinda Van Allen are a happy family, raising a daughter named Trixie and living their family life. One day, the couple will attend a party, and Melinda is a bit nervous about the party. The woman is choosing a dress for the night and wants her husband to help her decide which outfit to wear. Vic picks the dress and helps his wife put on the new shoes he recently bought as a gift from New York. Melinda observes her husband's careful movements and asks if he knows that she loves him. The couple drives to the party in a good mood. Upon arrival, the man helps his wife take off her outerwear. Melinda grabs a glass of champagne, and they join the buffet. The couple talks with their acquaintances about their children's education, shocking them with their loose parenting morals. Melinda looks bored in the crowd. She spots Joel, her close friend. Vic also notices the man and how happy his wife is with the presence of her acquaintance at the party. Vic grabs a drink from the bar and walks down the hall, looking for the couple with his eyes. Mel takes Joel out of the hall and to the yard, where the sound of live music is heard. Her husband goes to the window and sees the couple kissing below. Melinda realizes if her husband sees her act through the window, but she continues to caress her friend. Vic leaves and an acquaintance approaches him, starting to discuss Melinda and Joel dancing in the pool. The woman disliked the behavior of her friend's wife and decided to tell Vic about the wife's affair, but Vic did not want to continue the conversation. Melinda drank too much and started partying hard, dancing on top of the piano as her husband approached. At that moment, she put on a show for her husband and the guests at the bar. Victor met Joel, who thanked Vic for his hospitality and the chance to become close friends with the man's wife. In response, Vic told the man a story about a guy named Marty who had been friends with Melinda before Joel. Joel was curious. He had heard about Marty but didn't believe Victor had anything to do with the man's disappearance. In response, Vic said that he had killed his wife's friend. Joel then decided it was best for him to leave after the party. After the party, Mel began asking her husband what had happened to Joel. Victor did not want to discuss their conversation and asked her to get in the car. On the way home, Melinda found an apple that had been bitten into in the glove box and handed it to her husband. At home, as Victor was paying the babysitter, his wife entered the kitchen and began to undress, embarrassing both the babysitter and her husband. After sending the babysitter home, Vic helped his wife undress, and they began to discuss their relationship. Mel said that although her husband seemed foolish, she was comfortable with that and asked her husband to close the door behind him. At breakfast, Vic chats with Trixie, who is conducting a science experiment for school, and then drops the little girl off at school. At home, Melinda is angry with her husband for hurting Joel and tells him that he must apologize to Joel. Joel arrives at the Van Allen family home at the appointed dinner time. Joel informs that he is allergic to seafood. Vic prepares a special and unique dish for Joel. During dinner, Joel shares that he will be moving to another city for work. Melinda is pleased with his decision and promises to visit. She immediately grabs the man's sandwich from the table and eats it joyfully. Victor reminisces about how their first date went, but gradually, their conversation turns into an argument. Melinda then asks her husband to read a fairy tale to Trixie while Melinda entertains Joel. They read the book and talk about mothers. When the man comes down, he sees his wife having fun with Joel. He deliberately drops a plate to get his wife's attention. Melinda comes to the kitchen to pour a glass of alcohol and asks her husband to bring the drink to the guest. Joel thinks Vic wants to apologize, but the man says his taxi has arrived and pushes him out the door. At another holiday party, the Van Allens meet a writer, Don Wilson, and his family. The man reminds Victor of developing a military chip that he created to kill people, which he finds unethical. However, Victor's friends disagree with the writer and laugh at his accusation. Melinda and her daughter go dancing together. Vic watches them having fun, and then the writer's wife, Kelly, approaches him. She compliments his wife, and the man asks her to dance. This causes a big reaction among his friends because he usually avoids this type of entertainment. On her way home, Melinda asked her husband about his dance with Kelly. She concluded that her husband liked the girl. The wife became jealous, gave a thin smile, and decided to brush her teeth right on the street, which her husband greatly enjoyed. The couple had a wild night at home. A few days later, the couple went to watch Trixie play soccer. While they discussed the players on the opposing team, the man received a call from the bank. The officer informed Vic that his wife wanted to transfer $3,000 for piano lessons to someone named Charles Dalila. The man decided to find out who his wife's new acquaintance was and arrived at the bar where Charles was playing the piano. Sitting at the table, he saw his wife, who had come to meet the pianist. Victor became upset and went home. Later, Melinda came home disheveled. Vic asked where she had been, and the woman talked about meeting a new friend and drinking a lot of alcohol. The man helped his wife undress and delivered the news about the death of Martin McCrane, her missing lover. The news made a strong impression on the woman. One day, on the way home, Vic saw a pianist walking on the street carrying a bouquet of tulips, the same flowers he found on his kitchen table when he returned home with his daughter. Vic met with a friend at the bar where Charles was playing. The man praised the Charles play, and Victor revealed that the young man was teaching Melinda how to play the piano. At night, while Vic was caring for his pet, Melinda was relaxing in the car with her friend. She wanted to try something exciting and explore the man further. Melinda was not home all night, and when she returned, Vic began to ask where the woman had been all this time. The couple started to argue. Melinda provoked her husband to get at least some emotion from him, but Victor remained calm as usual. He tried to forbid Melinda from meeting her new friend, but his wife ignored his words. In the middle of the party, Charlie shows up at the house. Melinda introduces him to everyone as her close friend, and the man plays a little piece on the piano. During Charles' performance, Mel approaches and starts flirting with her husband. A bit later, she introduces the men. Charlie thinks Vic's face looks familiar, but Vic denies it. The party quiets down, and the man loses sight of his wife. A friend says Melinda is upstairs. Vic is unhappy with this information, but he slowly ascends to the second floor. Just at that moment, Melinda, laughing uproariously in a swimsuit, jumps out of her room below, followed by the piano player. The couple heads to the pool, and Victor follows them. The man watches his wife having fun in the water with her new friend, but suddenly it starts to rain, and everyone except Vic and Charlie goes inside. Stepping out to the balcony, he sees Victor watching the man in the pool, but he ignores it. Melinda starts to worry when she doesn't see Charlie among the guests. She goes to the balcony and sees the man's body floating in the pool. The men pull him out and try to resuscitate him before the ambulance arrives, but it's too late. Mel becomes hysterical. The police arrive at the scene and start questioning those present about the party. Vic's wife tells the detective that her husband killed Charlie. The friends are shocked by the woman's words and the ensuing hysteria. The police take Melinda away to talk privately and then call Vic to get a statement. On the way home, the couple drove in silence. Melinda was very saddened by the death of her friend. After returning home, Vic asked the woman if she was afraid of him. Melinda said she was not scared because she would do it for him. The next day, Victor went for mountain biking. Along the way, his memories returned to how he and Charlie wrestled in the pool that night, how his wife and the pianist had been close. It was hard for him to think about it. The man noticed a car following him. It was unexpected that Victor met the writer's wife when he took his daughter to school. The woman revealed that without Vic's knowledge, her husband talked about how Vic was indeed involved in the pianist's murder, but Kelly did not approve of his actions. She did not want to invite Melinda to the party at all, knowing her volatile nature. Vic calmed the woman down and invited them both for dinner. That night, the Wilsons arrived at the Van Allen house. Melinda was happy to have guests. Vic showed Don his snail farm and asked the man to stop telling everyone that it was because of the incident with Charlie Dalila, which is not good for the writer's reputation. Don is surprised that Vic is not worried about his own reputation and that Victor is willing to take a lie detector test to prove his innocence. Don thought he was weird. The next day, Vic walked on the street and saw the car that had been following him. The car was empty, but the man saw a camera when looking into the interior. At a cafe near where the car was parked, Vic's wife, Melinda, was sitting with a strange man. Then Vic entered and sat with the couple. Melinda did not expect to meet her husband here, but she was forced to introduce him to her acquaintance as a therapist. However, after talking to the stranger, Vic was convinced he was a private detective. The man goes to Wilson's home to find out why Don has hired him to spy on Victor. Kelly was angry with Don's actions. Don began to defend himself and assure everyone that he was not involved. However, Victor had evidence. Victor decided to follow his wife and find her new friend. The man was waiting for Melinda in the car, and they went for a night-long walk. Trixie asked if it was true that Daddy had killed Charlie, because there were rumors going around in the neighborhood, and everyone was asking the girl how she had hurt the musician. The man assured the child that he had nothing to do with it, but she did not believe him, and Vic said it would be their secret. Then Vic put his daughter to sleep. When the phone rang downstairs, Melinda picked it up and started sweet-talking someone about a trip to Brazil. A while later, while the woman was taking a shower, Victor wanted to talk to her, but she ignored him. Victor invited Tony Cameron, his wife's new friend. The man admired the host's snail farm. The men moved to talk in the kitchen, and Melinda came out to meet her friend. The woman behaved provocatively and began to reveal that Tony was her first man when she moved to America. The man was embarrassed by his friend's confession in front of her husband. To calm the situation, Tony suggested adding some snails to the dish, but Vic was against it. Mel purposely pushed her husband towards choosing snails, and then Victor told the guests an interesting fact. If he ate a whole snail, he could be poisoned. During dinner, everyone was having a good time except for the host. Melinda took the guests upstairs, and Victor followed her. The woman saw her husband on the stairs as he was flirting with Tony. The next day, Victor met Tony on the street and told him that his wife wanted to show him a building but couldn't get through it, offering him a ride. Along the way, the man talked about Melinda. Vic drove very fast, took the young man to the cliff, and got rid of his rival. The man went down to check on the boy's condition and hide the evidence of his crime. The man returned home joyously and found his wife playing with their daughter. He asked Mel about the recent guest because he liked the man. Melinda was cautious, and while the family was having lunch, she tried to call her friend. Later, she gathered with her daughter for a picnic on the cliff and invited her husband. While relaxing on the grass, Vic reminded her that he loved her, and Melinda decided to warm her hands to please Melinda. The man gave her a book with unknown pictures that touched the woman. Trixie chased a puppy and approached the water. Victor ran after her and saw a body floating further away. He didn't want his family to see it, so they went home, but Melinda had left her scarf at the picnic spot. The man promised to pick it up in the morning. After arriving home, Vic read a book, and Mel asked her husband to sleep in her room tonight. He agreed. The couple lay in bed. Melinda caressed Victor's face and told him that she loved him, after which they spent an active time together. In the morning, Victor drove to the gorge. Melinda looked for her husband and entered the room with snails. She searched the shelves and found Tony's wallet, which upset her. Victor arrived at the gorge and tried to hide evidence under the water again. Vic didn't see that the writer was watching him. The writer asked what Victor was doing at the river, and Vic replied that his wife had forgotten her scarf here and that he was looking for it. The writer then waved a red scarf and decided to go down to see Vic. Seeing what happened, Don got scared and rushed to his car. Vic decided to chase him on his bicycle. Meanwhile, Melinda was packing her suitcase, but Trixie saw the suitcase, threw it down the stairs, and drowned it in the pool because she didn't want to go. After chasing the writer, Vic came out right in front of him. Don failed to control the car and ended up in the river. Back home, his wife greeted him at the doorstep and told him she had seen Tony's documents. To keep the family together, the wife burned those documents. The movie ends.